first item is modifications and changes to the agenda. Does anybody have any modifications or changes to the agenda? No? If not, we'll move on.
I can't find.
Next item is public comment. I don't believe we have any public comment here. Well, you're being covered under Article 4 on the agenda, so we'll talk about that when we get there.
Sounds good.
Next would be review approval minutes of May the 9th, 2017. I have a motion to accept.
I make a motion, we accept the meeting,
Second.
the minutes.
Okay. Are there any errors or omissions?
We seem
If
to
not,
have
all
lost,
those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Okay,
Motion
you'll have to vote, Walter, because Guy just left the room, so.
Who's back? And we have a motion and a seconder, Guy, on the minutes. There are no errors or omissions. Are you in favor of accepting?
Yes.
Okay, so we're covered. Next would be item number 4, which is a lease estate solar net metering project. And we do have Will Ford here with us.
So I'll tee this up a little bit
Yep.
for the board and for Will. The board is aware that the village has been working with Will Beve and Green Lantern Development on a project that they've been involved in on the Leach Estate property, which adjoins or abuts Route 105, headed out towards Berkshire. And you have in front of you a contract, which would be between the village of Enosburg Falls and Green Lantern, although there's not an actual name on the contract. The names are blank on the contract, but it would be the village of Enosburg Falls and Green Lantern. And this is for a 500 kilowatt solar net metering project, which would be built on the Leach's property right along Route 105. And we have here today with us Will Bebe, who's representing his own consulting company as well as Green Lantern, to talk with the board and help answer any questions that you might have about the project and the contract you have in front of you. I will say there are a few changes in this version as opposed to the previous version that was given the board. If you want to see what those are in the highlighted, red line, I do have copies of these here, but I know you guys got a lot of paper in front of you, so I didn't give it to you, but if you do want to see the red line version of it, I can give it to you. But the agreement you have in front of you has been reviewed by staff, has been reviewed by the village's attorney, Eli Emerson, and we are all in agreement with the draft that is in front of you.
John, the revisions that you do have, are they standout items or is it just terminology type deal?
Some of it is terminology. I'd say probably one of the bigger items in there has to do with the way in which the village will pay the Leach Estate, or rather, the Leach Estate.
It's Leach Estate Solar LLC is why you're saying Leach Estate, which is the Green Lantern company.
But
Okay.
that can change anytime.
No.
That can be sold, can't it?
No, it will stay that company, Leach Estate Solar.
But one of the, probably one of the bigger changes is the monthly payments that the village will make to Leach Estate. In the previous draft, it was a set amount, so it would be the same amount every month. And then at the end of the year, you would do a true-up as to the actual production that the facility produced over the 12-month period. But after some discussions, we decided, well, actually the village urged a change in that. because we could see there would be some inconsistencies from month to month. And there could be, you know, some periods where if it did not perform or, you know, had under generation, as they're predicting, that we would sort of, you know, we'd be essentially financing a project for a month or two until we trued everything up at the end of the year. So we requested that we do a monthly true up every month, so it's, you know, it's actual generation from the facility rather than one annual true up at the end of the cycle, and the developers have agreed to do that. That's probably the biggest change in there.
Which
The
makes a
other-
lot of sense.
Yeah, the others are, you know, relatively minor, I think, and
And where will that tie into our power line?
So the point of interconnection is right down near the facility. If you enter into the sand pit
Yeah.
gravel extraction road,
Yeah.
it's going to be right off to the right-hand side of the road there, down in the lower depression of the old sand pit.
So that's probably 1,000 feet up to where approximately.
Yeah, about that, and we're working with Greg Clark on the interconnection.
Yep.
Real quick background, my brother Victor is my partner in our company, and then we work exclusively with Green Lantern to finance all of our projects, and we met the Leach family about a year and a half ago while, you know, Louise was still around, made the deal with the estate, and then we put the whole thing through permitting. We were successful in getting the permits, so we actually have permits in hand. With this agreement in place, you guys will be one of the members of the net metering group, because this is a group system. Unfortunately, the village doesn't have enough load to take all of the net meter credits, so one of the things I did want to mention is that we've been to the select board on a number of times to also offer them net meter credits as well. And to, I guess, streamline the process, they were hoping that they might be able to use the reviewed agreement that you have in place and buoy off of that to not incur legal expense on their side. I'm not sure if they use Eli, but they were expressing that interest to be able to use the same agreement.
no, they don't use Eli Emerson. Eli specializes in electric utilities.
Right.
The town's attorney is, I believe, still Vaughn Como,
Okay.
who's a local attorney in town here. His office is up on Bismarck Street. So, but that will be up to the town of Enosburg to decide, you know, if they want to use this agreement as their agreement as well. It's not a decision we can make.
No, I know that. Just
But they, you know, they are, I know, looking at what the village does with this, and they have contacted me and asked for comment about, you know, what the village is going to do, what action is the village going to take regarding the contract.
So with this contract in place, I'm letting you know that we're going to be offering the same exact deal to them. And I believe they'll be coming on board as well. So
Yeah.
we're really happy to be doing business with you guys. If there's anything I can answer on how net metering works and how the agreement's going to work, I can quickly go through it now.
One thing I'd like to clear up, Green Lantern, that's your company?
Green Lantern Capital is Luke Schulenberger's company. They're Vermont-based out of Waterbury,
No,
Vermont.
you mentioned Leach family and,
Yeah, so the Leach Family Estate Solar LLC is the
yeah,
limited liability company that's been set up
no, I understand.
for this project.
Yeah.
And that's a Green Lantern company. So that's the relationship. And Green Lantern will be financing the project. They'll be building it. They're vertically integrated, so they have their own construction crew. Some of the civil work will be done on site, most likely by Hank, and then the operation and maintenance of the facility will all be done by Green Lantern. And then your on-the-ground point person will be myself and my brother as the developers, and, you know, being able to handle any internal issues and coordinating everything that may or may not arise.
So what will our approximate bill for the year be? What's your output?
So we're gonna be able to place roughly 564,000 kilowatt hours of credit. And the savings at 17%. Do you have the spread? I had it memorized 2 days ago. I can bring it up right now for you.
Yeah, I don't think I have that.
Give me a half second. Trusty computer here. Hold on. So here we go. So in year one, with allocating 563,000 kilowatt hours, the approximate savings at the 17% keep, which is the discount that we've agreed to, you'll save $18,184 off of the electric bills you pay back to Enosburg Electric. And over the first 20 years, that's an estimated savings of $347,000 approximately.
That's the savings.
That's the savings.
Well, what will we pay per year, the total?
Right, well, so to get to the heart of, I think the question you want answered, Guy, is
Oh, 80.
what is the village's net loss in
Yeah,
this?
either way.
Because
Oh,
although
is that?
Will is calling it a savings, it's really a savings
Yeah.
off a further loss that we would have. And the answer to that is the village is going to, the net loss to the village is going to be about $100,000 a year to the electric department, according to the review that Vermont Public Power Supply Authority has done for us. That is, from the numbers they've shown me so far, that is going to be our net loss, taking into account the savings or the discount that we get on the 17% from Leach Estate Solar. Now, it would be worse if, and that's, as I've explained, this is the sticky wicket in this whole thing is, we don't have a choice. Our state government has told us that we have to allow these types of solar net metering projects into our service territory. So the question then becomes, do you want to be a willing partner and try to minimize your losses to your electric utility as a result of this, or do you want to just take the full loss? So with the discount, the 17% discount from Leach Estates, according to the numbers that Vermont Public Power Supply Authority has done for us, our net loss then would run approximately $100,000 a year to the electric department.
So if it wasn't for that 17%, we'd be up around 118,000 then, right? Or for that loss.
Per year, yeah, because you had it at, we're gaining
Well,
about 18 a year.
Yeah, I mean, the other way to look at it is if the village doesn't take advantage of it and it were all to go to an off-taker unrelated to the village, it would be a cumulative cash loss of about 175 to 180,000. Because that's how much will be generated in total. So you guys are taking 560,000, which is a little over 78% of the production, and then the select board is taking a portion of that as well, which, if they jump on board, is about 100,000, and then the balance is being.
If you're saying if they took our portion as well?
Well, they can't. They don't have the same amount of.
Okay. So it is significant. But as I said, it's not, the choice is not, can we keep this type of development out of our service territory and, keep our revenues intact? That's not the choice. Our state government has made that decision for us. The choice is, do we want to partake of the tools that we have available to us to minimize the loss in revenue to our electric utility, or not?
And
Or just take the full loss 100%.
And I want to be really clear that from the absolute get-go of this project, I approached you guys first with my brother, because even though we're following a state mandated rule, we believe that as much of the benefit should be held within the municipal utility that's village operated. And we have other projects that we're doing in other village municipal owned utilities, and we take the same path forward. So, this is not a community solar deal or anything like that.
So how does the power production vary from July to January?
Oh, just on average, your peak
Yeah.
months are going to be June, July, August, going into September, and then there's a steep decline, October, November, December. Depends on weather conditions, January, February, and then
January 1st be half of July 1st production approximately, or? I know this can vary.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if you look at it on the model, it's just a real huge spike after March,
Yep.
and then a real huge decline. So the majority of everything is all in the spring, summer months. Which is just the nature of solar.
Just like farming was years ago, all the cows fresh into March. Maybe I'll have the summer. Anyways.
On the completion side of things and scheduling and what to expect from here on out, we're targeting a July start date for principal construction. A project of this size will take 8 to 12 weeks from beginning to end. Then there's some coordinating and technical aspects that we'll do with Greg and the utility. And after the sign-offs there, you could expect 12 weeks after July 1st that this will be operating, and that you could be seeing real savings this year. And that's our absolute goal.
I have to assume that our attorney has gone over all of the paperwork, Jonathan?
Yeah, in fact, just this afternoon as well, we had a pretty extensive meeting between our attorney, Eli Emerson, myself, Will, Luke Schulenberger from Green Lantern. We all had a pretty thorough discussion about the contract and what was contained in it. And recommendation from staff, I realize it's somewhat of a bitter pill to swallow because it is a loss of revenue to our electric utility, but as Will pointed out, if we don't take advantage of the tools that we have, it'll be a lot worse than the projections that VEPSA's done for us right now. So it's about trying to minimize the loss at this point.
It'll be better than VEPSA or worse?
The projections that VEPSA's done right now are with the discount, with the credits that the Leach Estate would make available to the village. That's the $100,000 net loss. If we don't take advantage of this contract, the terms that are in this contract, the loss will be significantly worse.
Well, how does this compare to the other solar projects we bought into?
Totally different animal.
Totally different.
Completely different, yeah. The other solar projects we've done have been more like kind of rooftop type of
They're
things.
tax credits, aren't they?
Well, they've got other tools available to them, but they've been more like, private home type solar developments. This is not that. This is a completely different animal.
No, I mean, the ones we bought into.
I think we haven't bought into other solar projects. I think you're confusing some other
We belong
projects.
to a group that,
VEPSA.
yeah, they buy into the solar project.
There's some truth to
We're part of
that.
that.
Well, if you're aware of a specific solar project that we're involved in through VEPSA, I know we've got some long-term contracts on,
Oh, yeah, it's some Massachusetts or Rhode Island.
not solar though.
Oh, it isn't, okay, I'm wrong.
We have a long-term contract down in Fitchburg, Massachusetts
Yeah.
on a methane gas landfill project.
Okay, okay.
And that was done through VEPSA.
I'm the one that's,
Maybe that's what you're thinking
Yeah,
of, Guy.
it is, yeah,
But that's different, that's
Yeah, okay,
methane gas.
yeah.
And then we also have a long-term contract through VEPSA on Project 10, but that's a diesel generator plant that operates only on peak hours up in Swanton. It's located in Swanton, and that's another long-term contract we have through VEPSA.
We're not actually supplying electricity back to your utility. We're not selling electricity. The electricity that we generate, which is they call it like avoiding cost, you're getting it fed back into your system at peak, and you're putting it out to wherever your load is. So there's a big distinction that we're not actually selling electricity, which is what he's speaking to. VIPSA purchases.
Yeah, but we have to
long-term
take out we
contracts.
produce. No, wait, I mean,
Onto our lines, but
yeah,
that's what I'm saying, it's a totally different animal.
Okay.
The compensation,
yeah,
the way the compensation is set up for these, and remember, these are only in Vermont. Massachusetts doesn't have something like this. This was something that was created, this structure
yeah.
and this artificial market for solar power were created by our legislature specifically for Vermont. This program does not exist outside of the state of
There's
Vermont.
gas up there where you are, or there was. It's probably dissipated out now.
So technically,
There's a
we're,
landfill there.
Oh.
Yeah.
we're selling what we're receiving. We're selling it for less than what we're paying for it, basically.
Well, it's all part of the grid.
Well, you could look at it that way, Bill, I guess. I mean, they are getting a,
So technically, I think I can explain
why
this
don't you
pretty
give it a
quickly.
shot, Will?
So the state mandated net metering, it's virtual net metering, all utilities have to
Excuse me.
go by that set of rules. Under the program that we were permitted, the incentive rate is 19 cents a kilowatt hour for all renewable generation, whether it's solar or methane gas, doesn't matter. In this instance, our project's solar. So the 19 cents a kilowatt hour is an incentive over the basic, what's known as a statewide average retail rate, and that was to incentivize commercial, non-commercial residential adoption of solar, knowing that at that rate, they placed a cap on the utilities, which was 15% of your peak load. You had to allow net metering up to 15%.
It was less than that for a while.
It started off,
10%?
yep, it started off right around 4, then they increased it to 6, then it went to
Yeah.
15.
And they opened the doors.
And then, yes, and it created a lot, and honestly, this is my business, we do this, we also do standard offer contracts that are not net metering, and I think we should be just selling direct to the utility, but I didn't make the rules, I'm literally just following them. So with that 19 cents a kilowatt hour under the first version of net metering, that's the over the retail incentive rate that you're paying for. Now through VEPSA, you have agreements where you purchase power at all different rates. I've seen in your annual report from like, I think a low of like 7 cents to 14 cents, depending on where it's coming from, and it's all blended together, which gives you guys your wholesale market rate that you sell to your customers, and then you make the spread. So what's happening here is at 19 cents, you are not, you're selling that power at a loss because it's coming in at peak hours at 19 cents a kilowatt cost to the utility. And what we're trying to do is lower that net negative by giving it back to the village so that you're not actually losing, your customers. You in the unique position that you are utility owned, are taking advantage of the net metering credits because you have your own bills to pay back to the utility. Now, under the new program, it's a completely different incentive rate.
Now, the power we make all goes into, it's all sold, isn't it? We buy everything. So
Yeah,
that-
we are selling
Am I
our
wrong there?
local generated power.
So that allows this net metering to become part of the grid if they sell it to us, because we're running the,
You'll ultimately use it because it'll be peak.
I don't know what I mean, but
Right.
it's part of the grid.
Yes, it's all interconnected to your
A lot of
grid.
people say my power comes from such and such a place, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not, probably, 50 years ago, you could make that
Yeah,
statement with some
Right.
assurance, but the grid system doesn't really work that way anymore.
I think there's about 70 grid systems in the US right now.
Scientifically, I think the easiest way to think about it is whoever the largest load user is during peak summer months in July,
Yeah.
that's closest to the facility will literally take the power because it'll be generated there,
Oh, yeah,
go into
that's
the
right.
line, and they'll be fed right to the largest load demand.
Get more miles per gallon. No. I'm just
So do you think you got an answer to your question, Bill?
Yeah,
I mean, you were basically right, as Bill explained. We're getting that power at a loss, so you're right. I mean, we're paying him more than we're getting for it. But we're trying to, what this contract
Minimize it,
is
yeah.
doing is trying to minimize what that loss is.
The grid is like a blender. Yes.
So our next step basically is to either accept this contract as presented or
What is the pleasure of the board?
Yep.
Yes, this is a contract that staff has worked on behalf of the village with the developers on. We've also had some assistance from Vermont Public Power Supply Authority staff, as well as our attorney, Eli Emerson, on this. And it's staff's recommendation to approve the contract.
So if we do it tonight or 2 weeks from now, it's,
instead of it being July when they get going, it'll be that much later. I don't know how the board feels about it.
well, it's something we have to do, so I have to do. It's,
So you're
It's a
putting
state
the motion
regulation.
forward, are you? You're putting the motion forward? That we accept the contract?
Yeah, I will,
The
yeah, I'll
agreement?
do that. yeah.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second? Everyone has heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
I think you're all set, Will?
It was good meeting everyone. It's the first time. Thank you.
We had a black lantern in Montgomery. Green lantern.
Take care.
Know that?
Oh, what?
We had a black lantern in Montgomery.
Okay.
They're called green lanterns.
Getting all confused.
It was a restaurant.
The Black Lantern?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Black Lantern.
Okay.
It was a restaurant in the
Lot
town
of
of
business.
Montgomery, which
Okay.
is
A lot
a
of
couple
business down
towns
there.
east of us.
All right. Is it
Actually,
still
it's
in
just the
business?
next town directly east of
Oh,
us.
okay. All right, thank you very much again. Have a great,
Nice meeting
great
you.
night and
All right,
good
good night,
rest of the
Will.
week. Take care.
Next item is, wastewater allocation request for 26 Main Street for water.
Yeah, so if the board looks in its packets, you'll see a memo from our Director of Public Works, Gary Denton, regarding the request that's being made jointly by Tim Johnson and Deborah, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right.
Souza.
Knopf Souza.
Souza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she not go, it says Knopf Souza. She doesn't go by Knopf anymore?
Yeah, that I know of.
Okay.
I've never heard that before.
In any case, you see the names on the letter to the board, and they are requesting an additional 1.5 sewer and 1.5 water allocations for the property addressed at 261 Main Street in Enosburg Falls. The reason it's being done by multiple people is the property is in the process of being sold right now. Deborah Souza is the current owner, and Tim Johnson is going to be the new owner. And our policy states that any allocations, or I should say allocation requests that are made to the village have to come from the property owner. So because they're right in transition of closing on the property, I told them to have both parties write the request then. So that's what you have in front of you, as well as the memo from our Director of Public Works stating that we do have the capacity and the recommendation from staff that the board award the additional allocations to 261 Main Street.
Is that the old flower shop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think what the burger building is, they're probably going to be building next door to the existing entrance, where the second door is.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's going to become a
That's
little
where the
commercial-
piano
a little commercial spot for our computer people, I think.
There's no reason we shouldn't.
No, we have the allotment.
Yep.
What we need is a motion to authorize or to accept, to award them the 1.5 as requested.
I'll make a motion that we give the allocation of 1.5 sewer and 1.5 water allotment to 261, is it Main Street? Yeah.
Yeah, 261 Main Street. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Moving rapidly along here, we're now in the Public Works Department pickup truck financing bids.
Yeah, so if the board, again, flips in your packets, you'll see a memo from Joanne Davis, our Director of Finance, as well as some accompanying documents regarding bids that we got for the financing of the Public Works Department's new pickup truck. As Joanne has indicated in her memo to you, we received 3 different bids, the lowest of which came from People's Trust at 1.95% interest rate. So that is the recommendation from staff to go with the low bid from People's Trust at 1.95% interest.
I make a motion, we can go with People's Trust, 1.5.
I'll second it.
To approve, secondly, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Next is our manager's priority list.
Yeah, so again, just flip the page in your packets, and this is kind of an annual exercise that we usually go through in the spring. I usually just put together a priority list of projects and activities that I understand, given discussions with the Board of Trustees are the priorities for the community for the year, and therefore for myself as village manager. And just want to make sure that, you know, my understanding is correct on what the Board of Trustees considers to be our priorities for the year in this community. So I've just, you know, very simply listed them out here. First item on here is keeping on top of the electric department activities and requirements. And this is in no particular order. If you want to assign, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numerical order to these, that's perfectly fine, and we can spend as much time talking about this as the board would like. I didn't attempt to assign any kind of numerical order to these, but these are, as I understand it, the priorities that you have set for your local government for the year. So keeping on top of electric department activities and requirements, a hydro renovation project, phase 2, keeping up with VEPSA Board of Directors duties, keeping up with the VEPSA Legislative Committee duties, keeping up with the NEPA Board of Directors duties and the NEPA Executive Committee duties. All of these are boards and committees that I'm on as village manager for the village of Enosburg Falls, to other member organizations that we're a part of. The Elm Street Bike and Pedestrian Sidewalk Engineering, which is the next phase in the Elm Street Sidewalk project. Our FERC relicensing preparation. Recall we need to start our FERC relicensing process in April of next year, April of 2018. If there's some preparation work we need to do, working up to that date. The Diesel number 1 building rehabilitation project, phase 1, or it's also known as the Eco Park project. The Bridge of Flowers and Light rehabilitation project, phase 2. Getting an apprentice lineman hired for the electric department. Creating a new capital budget, as our current capital budget expires at the end of this year in 2017. It was a 5-year plan, so it ran from 2012 through the end of 2017, so that plan will be expired at the end of the year. So one of the projects Joanne and I and other department head will be working on through the summer and fall of this year is putting together a new 5-year capital budget program for the village, with the trustees' approval. Of course, we'll be working with you guys through that. 42 Village Drive roof replacement project. That's the electric department building. And also working on the Enosburg Falls High School versus Village of Enosburg Falls / the Rose family small claims court case. So those are, as I understand it, the priority list for the village manager this year. I just wanted to take some time to go over that with the Board of Trustees, to discuss any of those projects that we have there, or if you feel like some of these maybe aren't priorities and you want to take them off, that's fine. Or if you feel there are some other projects or items that I haven't put on here that you would like added on here, that's fine too. So this is meant to be a pretty, open, free-flowing discussion between myself and the board about, what you consider to be the top priorities for the village manager. Now I realize there are other duties and responsibilities that I have too, and this isn't intended to be an exercise to list out, every single duty that the village manager does. It's simply an exercise to try and acknowledge what the priorities for myself are during the course of 2017. And I'm open to any comments or feedback the board has.
Well, it's a list, and you go back from the top, I guess.
Yeah. Or if you're happy with this list and you feel that's an accurate representation, then good. That tells me I'm on the right path. I'm thinking in the right direction.
Just a roof replacement project, is that for the generator is all right? Yeah.
No, it's on the actual building, 42 Village Drive.
Oh, I'm
Needs a
sorry.
new roof.
Oh,
Yeah. That was a project that we discussed during the budgeting process this past year in December and January. And it was something that the board, we talked with you guys about and you approved as part of the electric department budget to replace the roof on that building. We tried patching it, you may recall, about a year ago. We could see there was some damage there. And we did hire a contractor to come in, and he did patch the areas that we were aware of that had damage, but once he got in there, he discovered the damage was a lot worse than we had realized, and his recommendation was to replace the whole roof. It was quite a while ago that roof had any serious attention paid to it, so it didn't really surprise any of us that much. So that, anyway, that's...
I was on the wrong track, but I'm glad you brought it up, because I
Yeah.
was thinking of the generator.
Right.
Is there any other comments on the manager's priority list? If not, we'll move on to the SQRP report, which is a report that's put out on an annual basis, is that correct?
Quarterly.
Quarterly?
Yeah, so board will recall every quarter we have this on your agenda. We're required to, by the Public Service Board, every electric utility in Vermont has to have this on their board meetings agendas each quarter. SQRP stands for Service Quality and Reliability Plan. It's basically a matrix of performance measurements regarding our electric department. So nothing particularly exciting to report in this quarters. We're still within all of our baseline reporting requirements. But as I said, we are required by the Public Service Board to have this as an agenda item each quarter, so that's why it's on there.
Thank you, John.
Another thing we're going to be hearing about while we're on that subject is,
Next item is the manager's report, which is on the back of your minutes.
Martha, there's another thing we're going to hear on this manager's list here, the downtown. They've been having meetings, and I had a discussion with one lady this morning, and they think the village should be doing more. Well, I said, we work with all the businesses or anybody here that comes in. They come down, and we got a plan, that's when we do the same thing if somebody wants to come in here, So, I just didn't think the village should be taking the beating all the time for things that don't happen. But anyways, that's all I got to say. Okay, Walter.
Next item is the manager's report here.
The first thing under manager's report, I just wanted to give you a quick update on the...
Did we miss one here?
No?
SQRP report?
No?
That's the one we
That's
just
one that
did.
comes out quarterly.
The quarterly report I just talked about. So first item under manager's report, just wanted to give the board a quick update on the New England hydro contract that we had discussed and was approved by the Board of Trustees last month. And VEPSA is still working on this contract on our behalf, on all of its members' behalf. And according to the last update I had from VEPSA staff, it is currently finalizing its allocations to its individual members on this contract, and it should have those allocations completed by the end of this month, and therefore getting contracts out to its members by the end of this month on that. And just wanted to give you guys a quick update on it. Bridge of Flowers and Light Phase 2 project. This construction project has been advertised in the paper. I don't know if anyone saw it, but it has been out in both the Courier and in the Messenger. A pre-bid meeting is scheduled on this project for May 17th. So we had that last week, and the bids are due on June 1st. So this will be presented to the board at your next meeting on June 13th. We should have the bids ready for you to review on this project, the Bridge of Flowers and Light Phase 2 project. The Diesel Number 1 Building and Interpretive Center, Phase 1. This project was advertised on the 18th. It will be advertised again on the 25th, with bids due on June 16th. The bids will be presented to the Board of Trustees at your July 11th meeting for the Diesel Number 1 project. And then lastly, quick update, but not a lot to report on the hydro vent renovation project. Turner Group in Kingsbury are still currently working on getting the contracts together for this, and their subcontractors lined up as well. So as was discussed at our last board meeting, when you did approve moving forward with Phase 2 of the hydro renovation project, we're shooting to have these new contracts in place and signed sometime next month, sometime in June. Yeah, that's all I have for manager's report at this time.
Thank you, John. Next item is other business. Anybody with other business? I just have two items here. One is a question, really. Have we made arrangements for someone to maintain the landscaping and the flowers and the Bridge of Flowers?
No, that's a good...
Someone kind of approached me and said it looked pretty scruffy there, so I don't...
Yeah, so here's what's going on with the Bridge of Flowers and Light, in that because we have a fairly large construction project taking place on the Bridge of Flowers and Light, we decided not to put the time and attention into planting all the flowers in there, because we're expecting the contractor is probably going to start around the end of July or thereabouts. So, you know, it would have been a lot of time and effort.
So once a construction crew comes in, they would give basically...
Right, they just get destroyed.
Okay.
You know, and then...
Okay, that's good to answer me.
Right, and then the construction, once it starts,
Yeah.
is not slated to be finished until the end of September.
I hadn't thought of the construction aspect of it, but...
Right, so it's several months that construction is going to be taking place on the bridge, and when we thought about it, it just seemed like, you know, we could do it, but it's a lot of work to get them up and, you know, going and taking care of them, and then they'd only be there about a month, and then they'd all get ruined once the construction started. So we decided not to plant the flowers this year. It's unfortunate, but with the construction project, the Phase 2 project, it's much more extensive and will take a much longer time period than the construction project that we did on the bridge last year in Phase 1 of that. So it didn't seem to make a lot of sense. Now, if that's upsetting to the board, you know, we can see about, you know, trying to do something quickly.
Makes sense, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's what we decided, was it was a lot of work for a very short period of time of flowers.
Thank you, John. The only other thing was, I just want to mention that Guy and myself were at the meeting for the initiative group. It was very informative when it come to the availability of grants. There are many grants out there. It's just incredible. I was amazed to hear of all the grants They had 8 guest speakers there. And all of them talking in terms of what they could offer with regards to grants. Like we're talking the bike trail and that sort of thing. There's other enhancements that could be available, like benches and that kind of stuff. And their doors are wide open. And I think it would be advantageous if we attend that June the 8th meeting, at which time, I'm sure we can pick up something from it. I did, for one, did not realize all those grants that are out there, but it's just amazing, really. It's just, you have to know who they are, and they're giving you their name and their local and email, or whatever the case may be, to deal directly with them. So it's worthwhile, I think. That's all I have to say to that. Next item is executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session. Put all our pens down.
Should probably just state for legal and personnel issues
Yep.
as well.
Yeah. Which is for legal and personnel issues. I'm going to give you this one. So we turn the cameras off now, Billy?
Did you pass it already?
Yeah,
Motion
we
second.
we've got a camera now, so we actually have to say, you have to actually say yes or no to these things.
You need a motion?
So, right, so we need a motion to go into executive session in a second, and then you need to vote on it.
I make a motion, we go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Okay. You heard the motion. Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.